This is the DVO podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You know what time it is. Same bat time, same bat channel for the DVO podcast. We are your hosts, Davey D, and this dude,
the vengeful one.
Yeah, man. Today we have Coyote from the Grimm family taking a very long lunch break to entertain us with his many tales. What's up, Coyote?
I'm doing pretty well today. I'm doing pretty well. How are y'all doing?
I'm fine. I'm hungry as always, but you know, I'm a growing boy.
Hey, I'm a fat kid, so I eat.
I'm doing well. I took Bret Hart to 4-star bronze yesterday. I'm happy.
Nice.
He does not wait on any enhanced events. If it's Bret, if it's Eddie, he just greenlights it.
That's what you gotta do, man. That's what you gotta do.
Honestly, these events have been so lackluster that it's probably okay to wait. It's okay not to wait.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it never hurts to wait, because if nothing else, you'll be in a great position for a leaderboard, and the leaderboards are always better. So
yeah, that's true.
But if you have no patience like me or, you know, Choli, then you just do whatever you can right away.
Or, you know, yeah, I know a few like that.
Yeah. No, he was, who was telling me, Wolfson's, like, he has, like, all these top-tier guys, like Piper and other people that are just unleveled right now, waiting for the right time. Like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Teach me your ways.
I'm still debating between Warrior, who was probably one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid, and you know, Vader for gold, because they both were for 4 bronze, because they were both two of my favorites growing up.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty common debate that a lot of people are having with themselves right now, is which one to get, because Vader's, you know, a little more reliable, I think. Warrior is Warrior, and there's nobody like him. So you know, like, there's something about playing with Warrior and you just hear his ridiculous promo in your head as you're playing the match. So it's pretty special.
Oh, yeah. You guys aren't hearing any feedback from my car stereo, are you?
No, you sound good. So why don't we jump into it, since we're talking about your favorites. So which superstar, like, really got you into wrestling as a kid?
It was probably Sting, to be honest. Just that surfer thing. What had happened is I was a kid, and I went to the old Philly Spectrum with my uncle because he was a wrestling fan, and he grew up watching the old WCW and NWA pay-per-views. I actually have a funny story about going through his tapes that I'm not sure if I can share here, but
I think I have an idea.
But so we went to the Philly Spectrum, and one of the matches that I saw there, and I remember, was Sting versus Flair. And I just remember being captured by Sting, and just how awesome he looked. I mean, it was just, I was like, wow, this is wrestling, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah.
We used to order every month's pay-per-view. It was pizza and pay-per-view night. If I got good grades, you know, we could order both pay-per-views, WCW and WWF back then. So I made sure I got good grades in school.
Which was your favorite pay-per-view as a kid?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I would have to say depends on what era. As a young kid, it was probably, and I know it sounds weird, but Survivor Series 90. I don't remember why I loved it so much, but as I got older, I kind of realized how stupid, like, the gobbledygooker was. But as a kid, I thought that was cool.
Was that the one that Undertaker and had his match with? Was it Hogan? I can't remember now. It was one of those.
No, that was the year Undertaker debuted.
Or his debut? Okay, that was it. Yeah, when he debuted. Oh man.
funny story as a kid. I wanted to grow up and be a wrestler when I was young.
Everybody did.
Everyone did, yeah.
I even had one of those wrestling buddies. I had like a Hulk Hogan one and an Ultimate Warrior one.
Those are the best.
And I was thinking, I was watching The Undertaker put somebody in a body bag, and I'm like, I don't want to be a wrestler now because I'm scared I'm going to get put in a body bag. At that time, it was real.
It's funny.
Yeah, I think I had one of those moments when Savage got bit by the cobra. I was like, this is not that to happen. Actually, Papa Shango scared the crap out of me too.
Yeah, he did when he made Warrior like bleed oil or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever that was. Yeah.
Yeah, cutting edge for that time.
Really was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I actually met Warrior once too when I was a kid, and I think if I go to my grandparents' house in Delaware, they still have it framed. But I actually have a signed picture from the Ultimate Warrior when he went to Delaware Park.
Wow,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Did you get to shake hands with him?
Yeah, he was actually pretty nice, from what I remember.
Yeah.
I've met a few wrestlers. Some of them were nice, some of them not so much.
That always sucks when your heroes aren't nice. It just totally shatters whatever illusion or attachment you have with them.
Absolutely.
I know.
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think if I ever made it famous in that kind of way, I'd try to be the nicest person I could be.
Yeah.
Just because to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do have off days, but you still got to push through. Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
I know Brian was put off when he met Luke Harper, when Scopely had taken them to some pay-per-view, and Luke Harper completely blew him off. Now he cares nothing for the guy.
I've always heard that Luke Harper was a really nice guy.
He probably just had an off day, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
or if they were backstage, he might have been being rushed somewhere.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, you got to respect the guys that don't need the support at this point, but still are that nice. I remember one of my friends who lived in Chicago at the time. He was on business in North Carolina and went to a restaurant and saw Ric Flair with his family there. It was a few years ago, and and Flair was like, one of his top two. Him and Shawn Michaels were his two favorite guys, and he texted me. He's like, "Dude, Ric Flair's at the restaurant." And I said, "Well, you can't go say hi to him." He's like, I don't want to bother him. He's with his family. I'm like, come on, you're gonna regret it if you don't try, right? So he went up and said, I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Flair. I know you're with your family here. I'm a big fan, and I just wanted to say, thank you for all the years of entertainment. And apparently he was extremely kind and signed something for him. And, and he's like, that was a risky thing to do because you don't want to ruin, him in your mind, but it turned out quite well.
Yeah, I've heard stories about Flair being a nice guy. Actually, I went to a Raw in Baltimore one year. It was when Randy Orton was going through that babyface run, that horrible one right after he'd won the world title from Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was the night that he had booked. It was a Jerry Lawler versus Ric Flair match that he had booked on Raw. Because he was like, legends have been throughout my entire career. I know something about legends. Which, that was cool to see both of them in the ring again. But after that, Chris Jericho's band Fozzy went to play at a little bar down there called Thunderdome. And everybody, I met Coach, I met Sean Davari, and a few others there. And I was talking with Davari, and Davari bought me it was Coach that bought me a beer.
Ooh.
So that was cool. But Batista was there too, and he was not the nicest person in the world. He almost got in a fight with somebody there.
I thought you were about to say he almost got in a fight with you.
No, not me. He's like double my size, man.
No blast gems needed.
That's probably not one that you're going to win.
Yeah,
you have to start. You have to start with a low blow to have a chance.
I mean, I'm brave, but not stupid.
So that's true. The process of 2x4. That'll do it.
You say with a 2x4? So are there any current wrestlers on the roster you identify with?
Probably AJ Styles in a way, and then to a degree Nakamura kind of reminds me of who I'd like to be in some ways. Not somebody that runs around and blows people, but just that artist that keeps an air of mystery. But AJ, because AJ was always told he's never going to make it, and he worked hard and made it. And it's kind of how I am with my career field. You know, I'm a programmer, and I went through 40 or 50 job interviews before I got my first job.
Wow.
And then I've just climbed up the ranks ever since. I've had a lot of good people that have obviously given me guidance and helped me along the way. But working hard and, once you got that chance, just busting the door down and going with it and keep climbing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I could see myself like AJ, because he kind of did the same thing, started with ROH and, then went to TNA and New Japan, and now he's the WWE champion. He holds the same title that, Hogan's held, that Triple H has held, that Flair's held, Bret Hart's held,
Yeah.
So,
I think it's one thing when you are talented, like everybody can see you are talented, but for whatever reason, you don't fit the current template or mold that they're looking for, and you just got to keep working and working until they notice you and they can't deny you any longer. So,
absolutely.
That's a very admirable quality to have. Like when all the facts and all the rules are telling you no, but you're saying, I'm going to make you say yes. Like, I admire that.
Absolutely. And that's the way I try to approach the game too, is I want to be considered one of the hardest working leaders, one of the hardest working players,
Yeah.
And that doesn't take away from anybody else that leads or anything like that. 'Cause every leader I've met across factions works incredibly hard.
Yeah. I know how hard it is to run a faction. I salute and applaud anyone still doing it. It is a thankless, payless job, but if you run a successful faction, I salute you, sir.
Yep. I mean, it's luckily, the team that we have in Grimm is very good. Everybody's awesome.
Yeah, everyone that we've interviewed from Grimm has been very nice so far. I think Rev really set the standard.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Super's really a nice guy.
Oh, Super's in chat. For those who don't have context, we have a podcast chat going. Super's in there talking trash.
Yeah, he's quite active today. Like normally he listens, but he's all over this Coyote one. Well, actually, I've heard your name as Coyote and Coyote. What's the right way to?
Coyote.
Coyote.
If you'd like, I can tell you the story of how I got that nickname.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Okay, so I had a friend of mine growing up who was Native American, and her grandmother, basically because I was always the jokester, always somebody that would kind of have a cutting joke, but it would kind of be a way to get my point across. So she nicknamed me that after the Native American Coyote, and it kind of stuck. She goes, I'm going to nickname you a Coyote because that's kind of how you act. So it's just kind of stuck since. Nobody in my real life calls me that anymore unless they've known me for a very long time.
Right.
But it kind of stuck as a gamer tag.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's how I got it.
Okay.
I told you that story.
Me or
I told you that story before. No, I'm talking to Punisher.
Oh,
Punisher,
okay.
He says, "Hey, I was wrong all the time." I was like, "I've told that story before."
Yeah, so we had Punisher on, and all this time I thought because I just when I see your name, like, oh, it's spelled Coyote, like the animal, like it's Coyote. And then on the episode, he kept saying Coyote. I'm like, oh, I guess I got it wrong. Good job.
No,
Joke's on you, buddy.
Punisher also calls me Yote, which some people have stuck around calling me in the faction.
Yote. Nice.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's unique. So what about tell us about like a moment in wrestling history that left an impact on you.
The day Hulk Hogan turned heel at Bash at the Beach.
Wow, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I was 13, so I was kind of starting to get a little bit wise to the business, but I still wasn't sure. And I remember Hogan coming down in the red and yellow, and I'm like, yeah. Because I loved Hall and Nash, and the first time I saw him, I was like, holy crap. They're on WCW.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon's on WCW. And then I saw Hogan come down. I'm like, all right, Hogan's going to come down and stomp a mud hole in him. And then he leg dropped Savage. And I was like, what? And my uncle the whole time, and he got into wrestling back then. He goes, you dirty, no good, low life, you know. I mean, I heard him call Hogan everything but a nice guy. When Hogan said, I did it all for the money, brother.
That's awesome.
So I was like, yeah, he did it all for the money. And now as I've gotten older, I'm like, I kind of do things for the money too. So I kind of understand that.
That was like the heel turn of the heel turns. Like there's never going to be anything like that. I don't even think if Cena had an actual heel turn that it would match the Hogan one, because back then there was the mystique of, was it real? Was it not?
Yeah.
And, wrestling in the 80s was obviously not what it is today. Like in terms of like, you didn't get to see Hogan all the time. Like you only got to see him in those big moments and those iconic matches, and and his charisma was unlike anybody else at the time. And he was all about, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. And to see him turn heel was like, it was so emotionally impactful. It was incredible. Like the NWO's formation was, I think that was just the highlight of wrestling ever.
It was that. And it was, and then I would also give a special mention to, oh, sorry, I was taking a drink there. I'd give a special mention to the Austin 316 promo too.
Yeah.
Because that was just, I watched that King of the Ring live, and at that point, I wanted Jake the Snake to win, because I wanted to see the redemption story and somebody, now that I've obviously learned a little bit more about Jake at that time, I understand why he didn't, and we got Austin 316.
Right. Yeah, so. I've mentioned this on the show a couple of times that a few years ago, when the network came out, I started with WrestleMania 1, and I'm just gradually, whenever I have time, like I'll watch a show, which has been very far and few between. So I've only gotten up to King of the Ring 96.
Good Lord.
But that was the last one that I saw. And, you know what's going to happen with that promo. But seeing it again for the first time after 20 years or whatever, the whole thing, it was just like, wow, this is magic. This is so cool, especially in the context of how blah the whole Ringmaster gimmick was. And even when he became Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he was using the Ringmaster music and the $1 Million Dream. And that moment was like, oh, that's stunning Steve Austin. He finally grew a pair. Now he's cool,
Because I grew up just outside of Philadelphia,
mm-hmm.
I got to see some of the ECW stuff on TV.
Nice.
So I kind of knew he could talk.
Right.
I knew that he could, and he was pretty good at it. But, when he came to WWF, they had so little faith in him that they put Ted DiBiase with him to talk.
Right.
Like he wasn't supposed to make it.
Right. No. Yeah, he really wasn't. And I'm just, it's funny. Like your story is another example. Like you give people a chance, and you might be surprised what they're capable of. And I think, the greatest in wrestling or the greatest in any industry, I think there are very few people that were kind of hailed from the beginning as, like LeBron James was, but he's the exception. Most people had to prove themselves from the start, prove themselves, not that LeBron didn't have to prove himself, but rather that, they weren't given any chances or any benefit of the doubt early on, and it had to just have somebody believe in you, and you went with it and took advantage of it. And yeah, it was, you wonder, like, if somebody like Austin hadn't been given a chance, what would the trajectory of wrestling been?
Absolutely.
Like, while we're still on that topic, is there anyone on the current roster who you think deserves a chance to shine, that they could really make it, but they're not being given a push?
KO, definitely. He should be he should get a bigger push. If you ever see his Ring of Honor stuff, look up the stuff he did with Jim Cornette. That was magic, as Kevin said. I would actually argue that Rollins should be the featured guy over Reigns.
100%.
I agree. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, he gets pops like you haven't heard in a long time when people come out, and that Burn It Down is the stupidest thing ever in his entrance, because I love the little pause there. But when you hear the crowd yell, "Burn it down!"
Yeah.
It kind of makes it that, okay, they made the right call. I would have been wrong.
Would you compare Rollins now to HBK in his prime?
I would actually say that Rollins is a better talker than HBK. In the ring, I would say HBK was probably a little better in his prime. Now, which prime are we talking about for HBK? Are we talking about before his back injury or after?
Before.
I would say that they're about equal. I would say HBK got better in the ring when he came back.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Just because he was able to tell a better story with his body.
Yeah, I mean, he had to be more thoughtful, I guess you could say, with how he performed after the back injury. But I mean, HBK before the back injury was just, there was nobody like him. There's nobody like him. Nobody that could sell like him. That's for sure.
That's true.
But I mean, Rollins does remind me a lot of him. But I think there's something about the way that Rollins can just hit move after move that, like, it seems like every match he's adding something to his arsenal.
Absolutely.
And which is, to me, is incredibly impressive given how often we see them now compared to once upon a time.
Yeah.
So, but I do agree with you. He should be the featured guy on Raw, 100%. To me, him and AJ are the reason I watch wrestling, or watch WWE for the most part. But KO, totally underused. I think, and especially like KO is amazing in the sense that, like, in this era of knowing that it's all staged and whatnot, he actually pulls off a heel. Like, how do you actually hate somebody when you know that they're putting on a show? But he really makes you be like, okay, I really respect what he's doing. Man, is he annoying sometimes? And
that's
it's
perfect.
Awesome. It's perfect. You gotta love him. I do wish they'd give him more opportunities.
I wish they'd give Bobby Lashley some more opportunity too. Have you ever seen his TNA work when he was the Walking Armageddon? How do you screw up the Walking Armageddon?
So, I mean,
was that his last TNA run?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta catch up on that.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I wasn't familiar with him until, like, I'd heard his name, but I hadn't seen him until he got here. And I think even like Nakamura, when he first got to WWE, and I was like, yeah, this is not the. I mean, I don't really watch NXT, but when he got to the main roster, I'm like, he's good, but is he really worth the hype? And then I went and watched some of his New Japan stuff. I'm like, where's this guy?
Yes.
Why don't they let him do this?
Well, I think some of it's just the different styles, because I mean, New Japan is very snug, and
right.
I mean, look at how different Chris Jericho is in New Japan versus how he is here, how he is in WWE.
Oh yeah.
In New Japan, he's got a sense of danger to him, and he's got this air of something is going to go crazy when he comes on.
Yeah.
In WWE, you're just like, yeah, break the walls down. Cool. I'm going to hear, I am the Ayatollah of rock and roll, or whatever catchphrase he's pushing that week.
Yeah.
Stupid idiot.
Two different ecosystems. Yeah.
Which is still awesome. It's just different, obviously. But so why don't we switch gears, get into the game a little bit? How did you get into this game?
Actually, what's funny is I had seen an advertisement for it on Raw one night, and I was kind of laid up with an injury. I was like, I need something to do, to kill
Famous
some time.
last words.
Yeah. Almost 550 days later. And a lot less in my wallet.
Yeah. You're among brothers here.
It's pretty. It's really amazing, though, if you think about it. Like, what is it fundamentally about this game that is so attractive and addictive?
Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I kind of find the gameplay boring, but I like the people that I play with and the people that I've met through here. So for me, it's not so much that I play because I still enjoy it or whatever. I mean, I do in some ways, but I do enjoy feuds for the most part. But it's for the people, It's for the people I play with. They're what makes it fun. I don't get up and necessarily open the game first, but sometimes I'll wake up and check out Discord first and see what's going on. And I've met a lot of amazing people across factions, from the early days in Vicious Venom to today in Grim. I've been very privileged to be exposed to a lot of really cool and very, very great people.
Yeah. So how many factions have you actually been in?
Are we going to count name changes?
Yes, I guess.
Well, if you count name changes, I would say I've been in. I started my own faction when I first started because I thought, okay, I'll do this, and maybe I'll have people come and join. And I didn't know anything at that time, and had a few people come and join and leave. Couldn't get anybody healed, and then I saw the first faction feud. And I was like, I want to go be competitive. Okay. So then I joined some faction that I thought was like 98th or 99th, and they had only played a couple of battles. It was very early, and they finished like way down, like 400th or something in the first feud. So then I actually did the one thing that we get on some people for, but I actually put a request into Vicious Venom. They were 4th. There was the Sheamus feud. And I had jumped in there and I kind of stuck. And at that time, there were a few people there that their Punisher was in Vicious Venom 2 at that time, I think. And Big Nelly was in Vicious Venom 2. And I don't know how I stuck in Vicious Venom because I had a tiny roster. And then Vicious Venom became Creepy Venom because we had joined up with Creep Squad at that time. And then we broke back off, did our own thing, became Venom. And then, as Punisher stated on the podcast, we kind of got tired in Venom of about 20 of us doing the work of 100 people. So we kind of decided to move from Venom to Creep Squad and then Creep Squad to Grim. So if you count distinct factions, I've been in 4.
Sounds about average.
If you count merge, then I've probably been closer to 6 to 8. If you count merge, stuff. But I mean, if I'm still playing with the exact same people,
right?
I start the same faction.
Right. That's not really as much of a move. But so let me get this right. So you actually just put in a request out of nowhere?
Yep. They were 4th on the leaderboard. I put in a request, I got accepted, and then I just started jumping in feuds.
That's awesome.
My kind of guy.
I mean, they didn't have it open, so I mean, somebody had to accept me. I think it might have actually been Brutal Void or C-Noob that accepted me, but I don't remember at this point.
You're like, just thank you.
Yeah. I was like, and at that time I didn't know that when you got a second superstar that you got a duplicate poster. So I was like, I'm going to get 2 Sheamuses.
That's funny.
Oh
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So
like, what? Wait! I just got 20 TP. Oh,
yeah. It's like, and I thought Sheamus was cool. I was like, all right, he's pretty cool. He sucks.
he was my guy for a long time in Blitz with that health steal.
Yes. And he was also my top trickster for the longest time. So,
okay,
for the longest time.
Yeah, actually, I remember that there was a good stretch of this game where there weren't, like, before Seth Rollins was introduced, there were really no good tricksters. I remember Technician, at least in Versus, feeling like a pretty strong class. This was before trainers, all that too. Feeling like a pretty strong class because there weren't tricksters to take them down.
Yeah. I still feel like Trickster was kind of one of the weakest classes in the game. Outside of Rollins.
I mean, if it wasn't for all the MP trainers, it would be a pretty bleak class overall. But I don't know. At 4 stars gets a little interesting. But we'll have to get into 4 stars here in a little bit. But until we get there, so along the way, I mean, obviously you've been with a lot of the same faces. But is there anything specifically that you've learned along the way, both about the game, about the camaraderie, about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. There's a couple things about the game I learned how to not make certain mistakes with characters. Like I had built Neville up because I thought he was too bronze, so he's obviously going to be better than NXT Rollins. I realized the error of my ways very quickly there. So I've learned how to build a roster. But one of the other things I've learned from playing with so many people is, and this takes nothing away from the work that goes into tier lists. This is not a shot at them in any way. So I want to preface this. I found that tier lists are great. They're a great guide, but you also have to give somebody roster advice to their play style.
The
absolutely
X factor.
True.
Yeah,
I do agree with that. Mm-hmm. Because, well, if I might interject, like we're talking about Warrior and Vader, right? Right now at 4 stars. Yeah, Vader might be by the numbers a little bit better, right? Marginally. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're not going to be disappointed with Warrior just because he is more effective than 3-star gold with the new move. But what do you like to play? Like, do you value the certainty and reliability that Vader can provide you, or do you enjoy just the fun of blowing the shit out of the whole board? Because then Warrior's your guy. Vader's not going to do it for you.
Exactly.
So yeah, and like we're having a discussion in one of the execution stables this morning about the different acrobats. Put Eddie Guerrero in his own class. Like, I don't think there's anybody in the game like him. No. But you're talking about Jericho and AJ and Jeff Hardy and Kalisto. It's like they're very close. So yeah, it's not like, okay, this is the best guy, just go with it. If you're a Jericho fan, he's your guy. That's end of story. If you need if you need SmackDown, then either AJ or Jeff, like whatever the case is. But they're a great guide because the main thing is you don't want to be working on somebody that's worthless, that's not going to win you anything unless you like them, But at the same time, like, yeah, it really does depend on your play style. Like, different players want different things or different values.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, like you said, with Warrior, with blowing shit up, there's not as much strategy with that as, say, with Vader. So if you like to be more a cerebral player, Vader might be better. If you just like to, as you said, destroy shit, just, then Warrior is obviously your choice.
Yeah. So in terms of roster progression and different aspects of the game, what would you consider your short-term and long-term goals?
My short-term goal and kind of long-term is to have a 4-star in every era, and then get one for Raw and one for SmackDown. My long-term goal is just continue building my roster and try not to dump a ton of money into it. We'll see how well that second term works, but that second part works. But I mean, all joking aside, You know, Punisher says it perfectly. Don't go bankrupt. And to answer the question you asked about, what I've learned about myself is I've learned how to deal with people and deal with different personalities. That's one area I feel like I'm very strong in, is I can deal with various different types of personality. Some people you just got to tell them, hey, look, sit down, be quiet, I got this. Other people you have to kind of give them a little more of a reason what's going on and kind of go into more details so they get it. And that doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just, you have to know how to approach different people different ways.
Now, if I may ask, in your in your job as it sounds like you do computer scientists of various sorts, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you in a management type of role?
I am.
Or is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you found that learning how to deal with the different people that you've interacted with in the game and understanding their personalities and what they respond to, have you found that has helped you in your professional life?
100%.
Wow.
Because it translates. It translates really well. And the reason for that is because, I've got one person that works under me that's a military person. They just want to be told if they're screwing up, they just want to be told, hey, you're screwing up, stop it. This is what you're doing is screwing up, chill out. And I have another person I work with that's more from Cali. He doesn't really take the direct, gut punch way very well. So he's more, how do I say this? He's more, you have to kind of be finesse. You have to kind of be more finesse with him for him to get the point and not shut down.
Got it.
Yeah, it really, I think of all the people that I've worked with, management styles, like it's, management training, they talk about, there's some people that need the hands-off approach, some people that need more of a directional hands-on approach. Yep. But the best ones that I've ever worked for or worked with, they understand that different people need different approaches. Like there's some people that, like you said, they just need the direct, just tell me what to do, they'll go do it. And then the ones I found, a lot of the ones that might need some of the finesse type styles, you have to give them a little bit more reasoning. You have to give them a little bit more acknowledgement for what they are doing right. But if you give them that space and you give them that credit, then when things go difficult, things go south, and you need them to go above and beyond, you don't even have to ask them. They will do it.
Absolutely.
Because you've given them that appreciation along the way. So, but if you never gave them that shot, they'll just be like, oh, screw you. I'm out of here, whatever the case may be. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, is I have a very good team of diverse people that all have different personalities and stuff like that. And that makes you a better person too, in game and in life. I don't know if I would count myself as the most patient player in the game, Punisher. Actually, a funny story. Do you mind if I go off on a quick short tangent?
Yeah,
okay? Absolutely. Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'll never forget. Funny thing about what Punisher says is there was one time somebody, and I forget where it was, but it talked about possibly, using a cheat or a hack or something. And I don't remember whether this was in Venom or whether this was in Grimm or where it was. But I remember that I just completely lost my shit about that. And I got so many messages going, are you okay? Are you mad at me? And I was like, oh, because apparently I don't yell, I don't scream, but I will get my point across. I've actually found you get more with a whisper than you do with a. People think you're more mad with a whisper than a yell.
like a Jake the Snake promo.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah, that I'll never. That was one of the funniest days because. Oh yeah, it was about the heel glitch being brought up, and I snapped out.
Could you explain for people that may not know what the heel glitch is? What the what?
Sorry, that's my dog.
I was about to say, is somebody getting murdered?
No, hold on. I'll be right back. You guys keep talking. Davey.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So I won't go into detail how you do it, but it was a glitch where you would mess with something on your phone, and all of your superstars would be healed, but they wouldn't. You know, I don't want to give detail about it because I don't want people trying it and getting themselves banned.
Right.
I doubt anybody here on this server would, but if somebody listens to this on YouTube, I don't want them to be dumb and try it themselves and get themselves banned.
See, when you said heal glitch, I thought you meant that thing like when you go into chat to heal someone, you can heal a person multiple times.
No, that's, to me, just because glitch has a negative connotation, I always prefer to refer to it as a super heal.
You should be Scopely's PR, super heal.
Well, because that's really what it is. It's not, you're not hurting anybody taking advantage of that. You're not hurting any other players.
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah. So, in terms of your long-term and short-term goals, what would you say are like some of your strengths and weaknesses in approach to gameplay, like, you know, maybe events or tours, leveling, mega pulls? Like, where do you excel and where do you fall short?
In tours and farming and stuff like that is where I excel. Blitzes, grind, things that I can grind.
Mm-hmm.
Feud, sometimes that can be a little bit of a weak point for me, and not because I'm not, you know, okay at it, but, you know, I've been blessed to play with some good players who are always 3 or 4 steps above me in terms of, you know, from Canadian, Punisher, Super, X, you know, it's all those guys. But I would say sometimes I tend to get a little too bogged down with some of the leadership stuff during feud, you know, just because that'll put gray hairs in your beard. I would say with events, sometimes I'm not willing to go the extra mile and spend the money to win the event or whatever, because it's costly to win some of those events.
It is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm of the mindset of just milestones. I'm good.
Yep. Unless the prize is just so good, I can't turn it down.
Yeah.
You know, if the prize was, there's a couple events I probably could have gone for. Like I could have gone for the Matt Hardy event, or I could have gone for the Taker event. Actually, I really couldn't have gone for the Matt Hardy event, but I could have gone for the Taker event and tried to push myself all the way up the top. But I kind of went, no, I'm not willing to spend the money it's going to take. I'd rather put that elsewhere in my life.
Which is understandable, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. My weakness when it comes to events is calculating. Vengeful is very good. He has his spreadsheets. I just shoot for the top and hope for the best.
Yeah.
I cringe every time I see that. It's either one of two things with you, Davey. It's either you shoot for the top and hope for the best, or you're just like, I'm out. Like, dude, no, this is actually a good one. It doesn't cost much, and you'll get a pretty good return on it. And then I'll explain that and be like, oh yeah, that's not so bad.
It's so true.
Hey, what 6 diamond pulls for 2,500 TP? Oh, okay. That's actually better than the golden TP event. Okay.
Oh my god.
See, my luck, I'll get 30 wire masks.
Oh my god. I need you.
Yeah, we balance each other out, because then the other side of it is just I'm like, I'll analyze the crap out of my spreadsheet, and he'll just be like, dude, just enhance whoever you want.
Eddie Guerrero, Razor Ramon, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
No, well, and my other weakness is sometimes with mega pulls. I was actually in a famous drought for a long time where I could not pull a 3-star to save my life.
How long did that last?
Oh, I'd say until the first player's choice came out. After that really bad feud, from the time I started to that first player's choice, I'd say almost 9 months.
Oh my goodness! So this is like 9 months early in the game.
Yeah, I couldn't pull anybody
That's even worse because the 3-stars were much easier to hit earlier in the game because at 0.5% versus 0.3.
We were in, I think we were still in Venom at the time. Or no, we were in Creepy Venom, I think, at that time when I did pull Lesnar. And we had a leaders chat, if you remember. We had a leaders chat in the line. And I remember when I pulled Lesnar, I was like, holy shit, it's over. The drought's over. Yeah, the drought should have stayed there. I'd probably be a lot richer.
Yeah, we've all had those. It's funny, though, because actually a lot of the people that we've talked to on the show, Big Papa Brian and others, it's the story's been more like they did their first 30 pull or maybe the second one, they hit. I'm like, oh, this wasn't so bad. And then the reality strikes on the further pulls.
Yep. And Lay, one of the other leaders at that time, as Punisher said, had pulled AJ, and he never got megas either. He had such a drought too. Except for he did get Cesaro out of the chips.
Cesaro.
So.
Which was not a good pull until he became a good trainer.
Exactly. He actually gets a choose move at 4-star, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's interesting now, but
it'll be a long time before he gets a 4-star.
Yes.
If ever.
Yes. I haven't even taken him to 5K yet because I haven't found a justification to do it yet.
Yeah, I did it for Jeff Hardy back during that Hardy event. Probably wasn't worth it, but I was swimming in tech tokens, which I wish I had back right now. But
yeah, I used to be the same way with striker tokens.
Oh, I know, dude. I'm really hitting myself for that one with McMahon and Nakamura. Like at the end of that event, I'm just swimming in these things. If I keep these things around, I'm never going to pull any of the other tokens. If I have this many more striker tokens, and now I'm like, I could really use them for Corbin. I never thought I'd take him up to 4 stars. The extra 5 shin guards would be really nice right about now.
Oh man,
I'll tell you who I've got to.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who I've got to go all in on when he comes out.
Elias.
I got Elias. I have a puppy named Elias.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So Elias is going to be a striker?
Trickster, I think.
Okay, makes sense.
I think they're trying to beef that class up. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Elias would be a good one.
So whenever I've got to take the dog out, I always tell everybody I got to go walk with Elias.
That's funny. That's funny.
That's good. That's good right there. Now, did you name the puppy Elias after we were introduced to Elias in wrestling?
Sort of.
Such a mark.
Sort of. That, and it took a little finagling to convince my girlfriend, and then she watched Raw with me one night, and she was like, "Oh, that's why you named the dog Elias."
That's funny.
Like, yeah. She goes,
"So
I like wrestling, but I don't."
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, she goes, "I like wrestling, but I don't. It's not real fighting."
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't convince an adult. You have to get them when they're a kid. You got to get them hooked as a kid.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't happen otherwise. At least that's my feeling of it. But so why don't we talk real quick? What are your thoughts about 4 stars in general? Like, what? Just open-ended question here.
Well, I'm kind of interested. I kind of need more data before I can make a full assessment. But my initial thought was, oh crap, they're going to ruin the game because the damages is going to be so unbeatable. They're going to be so hard to get. You know that if you get a 4-star right off the bat, you're gonna basically stomp everybody till the field catches up down the line. It's gonna be like people that had 3-star golds back in the day that you stood no chance. And then now that I've seen them in action a little bit and I got to play beta for a little bit, they do change the game. There's a lot more strategy now, it seems.
Yeah.
You can't just use, King on Seth and then Brian on Seth. hit one blue match and call it a day. It just isn't going to work that way anymore. And I think that's really cool because there's some strategy to who you take up and to what they do and to how good they are. I mean, don't get me wrong, tough is still tough, but now in versus, you may want to run somebody like Darren Young on him and Brian and be a little bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested to see him actually in action in feuds now that more people are going to have him.
Right. Yeah, this past feud wasn't really an indication.
I think that's going to be the real test to really get my thoughts on what they're going to be like, because it's going to slow feuds down. Like, it's going to slow everybody down.
Well, I'm not sure about everybody. I'm pretty sure Kanation's still going to hit some insane totals, but
Well, yeah.
She's magic.
I think people like Super, X, Punisher, are all going to hit insane numbers still too. I mean, it's just
it will slow it down though, and I think there's going to be value especially now that health packs are going to be at a premium, and the heal tokens are probably even going to be at more of a premium, because at least you can get your health packs through the store, but the tokens are 15 of them to get a heal. Like in non-feud times, like how are you going to get 15% of your faction to see your heal requests in an hour on a weekday? It's just not happening. So you end up having to let them self-heal or use health packs during the week. It's going to make them that much more rare during feuds. So
absolutely.
Given that, I'm almost looking at maybe it's worth feuding a little slower so that you don't lose.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's definitely going to change things up. And once they do, I know they've done like temporary perks for feuds, but if that becomes like more of a real thing, that's going to add another, or more of a regular thing, that's going to add another dimension to how do you preserve the precious resources and still, get your points.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely going to shake up a lot of things. I mean, don't get me wrong. Good, as we've stated, good players are going to be good players, but it's definitely going to change. I wouldn't be surprised to see it start shifting the top of the leaderboard, the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of us start shifting around a little bit with this too.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's going to take some adjustment for the overall play style. Like in the past, it was just NBT, Volkov, tough, whatever, just destroy people left and right, rinse, repeat. Now, I think it's like you said, it's a slower game. It's a little more cerebral. You have to play the counter punches a lot more. It's going to be, I think, more important to have guys with the submissions, with the guys that can, silence gems are probably going to become, far more useful than they ever were before, because you want to prevent your opponent from hitting their moves, because that's where the damage happens. So
yeah, absolutely. Props are going to be at a premium.
Props are going to be at a premium, yeah. So when we get a blitz and and Davey goes, "I'm skipping this blitz," I'm like, "Dude, you need your props."
I never said that.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I personally, I'm excited because, I will say that the part that I was worried about was more the availability of the tokens. How easy or difficult is it going to be? And when they initially stated it was going to be 8, I was like, that might be it for me. If it's 8 to get one guy, how are you going to get the one guy per class, like you said, or the Raw, the SmackDown, and the Era? It's like, how are we going to do that? And yes, it's still going to be a drag to get them to silver, but at least there's more time for that. We can still build an army of 4-star guys at bronze while we wait for the token availability to get them to silver. But I personally, I thought the transition was pretty good. I thought the token cost was good. I thought they made them available in the event. Even like the currently running Diamond event at this time of this recording, or the Rainbow one, 500 TP of 5 different classes, and you get 6 pulls. Not bad.
No, not bad at all. Well, the one thing I will say too is another gem that I'm finding that they've made viable at 4-star that wasn't really good at 3-star and below is power gems. I mean, I got Steamboat for my D9 badge, and I already had him at gold, so it wasn't that bad to take him to 4-star. But yeah, I mean, each of those power gems hits for 2,300 per move, and that chews up a lot of health. That's 10,000 health plus gem damage.
Yeah, especially when a while, that really adds up, especially when, I mean, because every move, like with Triple H, he's spitting out 5 of them?
Yeah.
Every turn, like you can't cover them up with, your submission gems or whatever else you have.
Nope.
They're going to start getting you at some point. So that is very interesting. I will, to counter that, the gem that I think has taken the biggest hit at 4 stars belongs to the character that I pulled, Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Protect gems are basically useless, I think, because 2 things. One, most of the damage now comes on move damage, not gem damage. So you're not really protecting yourself relative compared to what it used to be. But more important than that, with the kick out buff, which I think overall is a great thing. There was nothing worse than, having 40% health left and you can't kick out, and you're not even a showboat, but, but at the same time, protect gems, that was their most powerful aspect, was being able to keep a guy down. And I'm finding with Strowman, it's really not helpful right now. So yeah, it's funny how these things shift.
Yeah, protect gems. I mean, outside of H.H. Booker, I've never, although DDP was my first 3-star, I've never been a big fan of protect gems. So outside of H.H. Booker,
Yeah, somebody in the chat, Buck, is talking about how power gems are why he's intrigued with Sting. I played with Sting at 4 stars, and I like to think I was maybe a little influential in getting the new move to be a choose move, choose yellow. I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes them a little bit better, but his strength is definitely in those power gems. Sting can put out more power gems at more damage than anybody with those 2 green moves. The problem is still getting the pin, but yeah, the power gems are fascinating now. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And also the bleed moves, for that matter.
Yeah. Suddenly, Striker Seth is now a viable trainer for somebody.
Right. And Devon is not crap.
But they nerfed him, though.
Yeah. Well, he's not as good as he was at the first outset of beta, but
still better than he is now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting how the game changes, and it just makes you wonder where it's going to go from here. But I generally am enjoying the changes quite a bit. But like you said, the first feud is going to be the most telling.
Absolutely, and I imagine I'm worried. One thing that worries me about 4 stars is kind of like the D9 event. Scopely comes up with a lot of cool things that sound very cool on paper, and you're like, yeah, they get you hyped. And then when they go for the execution of it, it's kind of like, what?
Yeah. I think that sometimes the design is exceptional, but almost the business side of it and the execution that comes with it leaves something to be desired. Like, I love like right now that we have the limited time tour perks, which that's pretty cool. Like we can experiment with these and try to counter our opponents and that sort of thing. And then I see a timer for 6 days. I don't know if that means it expires in 6 days, but if it does, I'm not spending 100,000 coins to unlock it.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's like, sorry.
I think they should come out with perks like that for Versus. I think that would be cool. That would be a great way to change the game up. Versus
needs massive help. I mean, Versus just needs a ton of help, and it's not even just the hackers. It's just all around. The grind for the rewards is not worth it anymore, and that's why you see like 4 stars at like 500 notoriety. that screws things up. But yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I would even love versus if there were no trainers, no props, and just straight up tag bonuses are the only bonuses you get. And then you have to play the character and their moveset with no extra help.
And that would really tell you who's the best character.
They really would. They really would. Well, I mean, in a world before versus, Brock Lesnar was your first powerhouse, right? Was your first pull. And before trainers, he was a darn good powerhouse.
Yeah, he was.
He actually had the ability to get there fast, where most powerhouses have these, 15 charge moves that you'd never dream of hitting. But with trainers and everything, they're just better options now. But it's true. But why don't we? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say I would say until Vader came out, Brock Lesnar was probably top of the heap in powerhouses.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Which I kind of miss because now he's just sitting on my roster doing nothing. But maybe that's what Invasion's for. So why don't we close out with one final question?
Sure.
Your personality, you in real life, if you could pick which class you are in this game, what would it be?
Ooh. That's actually a pretty tough question. I would almost say trickster because of how I joke, but yeah, tech. I got you, Punisher. I mean, trickster may be pretty good because I'm always playing pranks on people. Harmless stuff. But... Or I could be a tech, I guess, because, I like to get into the technical details of how stuff works. Being a programmer, that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah.
So, fine, I'll go with Texter.
You sound so disappointed.
I'll go with tech.
No, it's funny because Davey and I have talked about this too. Like, I feel like tech is. Calvin and I have talked about it as well. Like, we all feel, like Calvin and I especially, we want to be like, I want to be a showboat, but the reality is I'm probably a tech. It's like we reluctantly accept that we're a technician. Like, it's a bad thing, Like, oh, we're cerebral people. This is a bad thing. Like, come on.
No, you just try to see things at a higher level. I mean, that's really what techs do.
Yeah,
true.
Even if you look at how the characters are designed, they kind of do things at kind of a higher level with their submissions. You have to kind of think more to play as a lot of techs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of counter punching and that sort of thing that happens. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
So, but there's actually a funny reason that Punisher says tech. For the longest time after I got Brock, the only megas that I could pull were techs.
The irony of it all.
I was like, what? Because I pulled DiBiase, I pulled Angle, I pulled Angle twice.
Wow.
I actually pulled DiBiase and ADR in the same pull.
I'm jealous.
Wow.
Completely jealous.
It's funny how that happens. This game, mysterious.
RNG works in mysterious ways.
It does.
It does. Oh man! But I want to say thank you guys for having me. It's been awesome. This was a fun experience that I got to chat with you guys and everybody. I've wanted to do this for a while.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. This has been great. I mean, you've been one of those people that when we started, back when it was the Tubement channel and we was, friends of Tubement, you were one of the first people to hop in here and just, offer your wisdom and creative thinking, which, I just love that, we can have these sorts of conversations in our community and just recognize like we're all really cut from the same cloth. We all have the same challenges with the game and, addictions and whatnot. But, it's just awesome getting to meet people like you. And, I appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this, man.
Hey, I'm glad. I'm glad that I got to chat with everybody. And, I'm glad that I've gotten to meet the people I have here and in the various groups that I've been in and stuff like that. I'm just very happy about that and glad. And that's the whole reason I still play.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, man.
100%.
Thanks again. It has been awesome. Thank you for giving us your lunch break, really. And
no worries.
This has been another awesome episode. Hope you ladies and gentlemen have a good day.
This is the DVO podcast.